Welcome to 500 Coffees for the Soul. My name is Chris Barton. I'm really glad you can join me today. I'm on a mission of lifetime learning, speaking to amazing people who have great stories. Today's is a fantastic one. I hope you enjoy. Welcome, Carl.
Thank you, Chris. It's great to be here.
I'm super excited to have you in today because you are high on my hit list of people I wanted to chat to.
Yeah. What do you mean by hit list, Chris? What do you mean by hit list?
Podcast hit list.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
For people who are making real difference in our community.
Yeah, thank you.
And it could take me a long time for anyone who's listening to go through your bio, but I'll give a very short crack at it just so people know you're an ex-international athlete and coach.
Yep.
Is that correct? High-performance expert and worked with many athletes and high-level teams across the world,
Correct,
including NRL teams, British Lions.
Yeah.
Have I missed any?
New Zealand rugby as well, yeah. At the Crusaders. Yeah, so pretty, my life has been sport, basically, yeah.
And now you are the director of Super 6 HP, which is a high-performance business for elite junior athletes, would you say?
No, it's a unique business, which is the accumulation of a lot of my stories, really. I suppose we need to talk about that. But Super 6 is a very, very, very unique environment. It's something which is high performance in process, but it's available to all young people. So I suppose my point of difference, and in business you need a point of difference to be successful, was that my point of difference was my background. And also the fact that usually in high performance, athletes are selected, whereas Super 6 High Performance offers a high performance environment for physical and emotional development to all young people. Yeah.
I love that description as well. And for context, for anyone who's listening, the universe is funny in some ways. I don't know if it's fate or the way universe works, but it was about 12 months ago I actually emailed you, and it was a cold business email. Because I was hoping we might be able to work together with my
this is where you're going to tell me I changed your life, Chris.
Well, partly, but you definitely have had a huge impact on my son's life, Hamish, in the last year, and I think you came into his life at just the time he needed it, and so he loves the program. And the first time I walked in to meet you, I saw the 6 pillars on your wall, which I know underpin the foundations of what you're about. Could you give me a bit of background on what those 6 pillars are and why they're important?
Well, pillars sounds very business oriented, Chris. It's actually, Super 6 is called Super 6, obviously because of 6 somethings. You call them pillars.
What are those 6 somethings?
Ultimately, the background behind Super 6, involvement or coming to life. Do you want me to talk about
I'd love
process?
Yeah, absolutely.
So basically, my background, for as long as I remember, has been sport. My earliest memory was, I would have been 3 years old, was actually seeing my father doing exercises in our kitchen, in our little council estate house in Hull in the north of England. And my dad was actually one of the first competitive bodybuilders. It's a pretty unique sport back in the day, yeah.
It wasn't big then, was it?
No, he was a trailblazer, so he's seen as a bit of a, I suppose, unusual at the time. It wasn't. So he's one of the forefathers, along with other people that are actually part of the fitness industry. You know, when my dad ate correctly, when my dad trained every day, when my dad focused on health and nutrition, this is in a day where people just didn't do that. You got to remember, my father was an engineer. He started his engineer career building steam engines and finished his engineer career building jet fighter aircraft.
Wow, that's an evolution, isn't it?
It is. So he's and obviously he had a huge influence on me because, you know, he got me into sport when I was 14. I was the archetypal weakling. I was an asthmatic. I had bronchitis. I played an instrument when I was at school. It's a really rough school. So when everybody found out that I was playing music, it probably turned my life around in a negative way. I got bullied really badly. So in the end, my big, powerful, superhuman father dragged his little skinny weakling son to the gym when I was 14. But by the time I was 16, 17, I was the north of England. weightlifting champion, Olympic lifting and powerlifting champion. Took up throwing events, and by the time I was 21, I was the British shot put champion, an international athlete. So, and my dad was a bit of a forefather. He used to take all the kids on the estate to the field and give them exercise.
Oh, wow.
So look, ultimately, without going into too much of my background, the one thing that I know about sport was that it literally revolutionizes lives. And even just at the weekend, I was involved with a big sporting event which was doing just that. But look, sport brought me so much amazing things, and fast tracking a lot of the processes in that. Yep. Probably in my mid-20s, I went to do a talk on nutrition at Leeds United, and they were in the English Premier League.
Yep.
They were a top team at the time, and the coach asked me at the time if I would help with some strength training. Yep. This is back in the early 90s, so it was a new thing. Yep. Everybody talks now about strength and conditioning coaches.
So it was the infancy of the industry back then?
Absolutely. I can remember the head coach saying to me, and this was Howard Wilkinson. He was seen as a real forward-thinking type of coach. So getting a strength coach into his football team at the time was like revolutionary.
Yeah.
So I was the first strength coach in the EPL. A year after I went to Leeds, Manchester United got a strength coach. But I remember saying to me, look, Carl, I just want you to work on their upper body. Don't touch the legs because you'll change the centre of gravity. So that's how far back we're going, yeah?
Wow.
Now I'm starting to show my age. But the one thing that I've always been, when I look back on my career, I've always been around at pivotal times in my industry, I suppose, in the world, in my journey. So I was at Leeds United for 18 months until Leeds recruited a manager or head coach who didn't believe in weight training. So he got rid of me very quickly. Yep. And then I suppose my real journey of coaching started at that point. I was recruited to a rugby league team in the north of England called the Bradford Bulls. Yep. They were a mid-table team in the rugby league program in the UK. And we turned that team basically. It was a real sporting phenomenon. If you look back, if you look into it, if you look at the Bradford Bulls, it was an absolutely amazing time of a team which went from being ordinary to absolutely extraordinary. Every aspect of that business was groundbreaking. But from a physical development perspective, because my background was power and strength, working with elite athletes at the time, world-class athletes, world champions, world record holders, they were in my close circle of friends. What I brought to rugby league at that time was taking this really traditional sport, which was revolved around really traditional type of training, into the modern era. So we were the first team to implement true power, strength development, nutrition. So obviously in a sport which was power related, we went from normal to extraordinary pretty quickly. We became physically dominant. And that team went from a mid-table team in the north of England to world club champions. And so
amazing.
It was really amazing.
Yeah.
So look, ultimately because of that, I got headhunted to come to Australia. In 2001, I was the head strength and conditioning coach for the Canberra Raiders for 5 years, which was an amazing time. Big thing to bring my family across to Australia.
Massive change.
It's huge because, ultimately we didn't come across in little sailing ships, but we came across on a big jet. But ultimately you leave, and we all speak the same language. Yeah. But culturally, it was so different. The cultural change was so difficult. But initially, we didn't really fit. Felt like we didn't really fit. It was hard on my wife and my kids to try and find their little place. And for 3 or 4 months, we thought we'd made a really bad decision. But once the kids started school, we realised that it was the right decision for them. Yep. And the rest is history, really. We got our citizenship, and we're very proud Australians now. We were 5 years in Canberra, which was a fantastic experience. Then I went to the Penrith Panthers for 5 years again. So we moved to Penrith, and that's my home now to this day. So 5 years in Penrith, fantastic experience. Then I went across to New Zealand Rugby. I worked as head of strength and conditioning at the Crusaders, which are arguably the most successful rugby franchise on the planet.
Yeah, with an amazing culture as well.
Unbelievable. So, so obviously we had 15 All Blacks in our team at that time, including a couple of All Blacks who are regarded as the greatest players that have ever played the game. And when you actually think of those things within a sport which is well over 150 years old, you're working with players that are regarded as the best that have ever played the game. These are really special people.
Yeah. Can I ask one question on that? Did those, not without naming, but those players who are, top level on the field, did that translate to their training and everything they did off it as well?
Ultimately, the Crusaders are very, very successful for a number of reasons, and we've all read the book Legacy about the All Blacks. We've all read these things. To be honest and to be fair, maybe people have a different understanding of this, but I would argue that the modern day All Blacks culture is actually derived from the Crusader culture. And even at the Crusaders, they call themselves Crusader All Blacks.
Interesting.
Yeah. Over 70% of Crusader athletes become All Blacks. So look, and a lot of that All Blacks thinking derived from the processes and the people within the Crusaders over the years. Again, people might have a different opinion. But we've all read these books, but actually part of the Crusaders being forward-thinking, developing this amazing culture that creates unbelievable people and unbelievable athletes, part of that was truly having a point of difference.
Yep.
The year that I went there, it was just after the earthquake, so it was pretty traumatic time in their little environment. It was a really traumatic time for the population of Christchurch and the team. Ultimately, their whole stadium basically fell in a big hole, and the city was destroyed. It was just amazing. You watch things like that on the news, but when you actually arrive, you realise how traumatic it was for the population. And what an amazing, resilient population they were and probably are to this day.
Yeah.
So look, their point of difference at the time was to bring a league in, because they recognised that the game was changing and evolving, and they wanted to be again at the cutting edge of that. So in their wisdom, they reached out to me. Probably had a different opinion once I arrived, but there again. So look, it was they brought a league in to actually look at various different aspects of how they could maybe translate some of the physical prowess of specific aspects of league players, the defensive shape, defensive speed, changing the way that athletes attacked around the halves, various different things, and it was amazing. So again, I'd read all these things about this amazing culture, but ultimately, when you're actually immersed in it, it's a completely different process. This is a 24/7 process from day one.
Yep.
It's a nurturing environment, because the one thing I've learned about humans is that every living cell is affected by its environment. If you're within a toxic environment, things will wither and die. If you're in a nurturing environment or create a nurturing environment, things will grow and flourish.
So is it not accepted in that culture to not be nurturing? So if somebody comes into that environment who doesn't fit that nurturing...
They're very diligent in their recruitment process. They recruit on two things probably, which is character and courage. Not skill, character and courage.
Interesting.
And that's the most important thing. They have but without getting into the Crusaders culture, because there's way more better people can talk about it. But the one thing that I was told earlier on is that once a Crusader, always a Crusader, Carl. Yeah, and it went in one ear and out the other when somebody told me that. But 10 years later, I still live by those Crusader values, because even though I was only there a year, because I moved back into the NRL, when it's a 24/7 thing, when it's so inspirational, when it's so different, when it's so intense, when you feel the expectation, scrutiny, and consequence around you as a coach every day to deliver to the world's greatest rugby athletes, no matter how talented you are as a coach, no matter how experienced, no matter how much expertise you have, dealing with that pressure creates an environment to flourish, as long as the environment's nurturing. And I felt that pressure. And part of my process there was learning. Yeah. Even though I was a really rounded coach with lots of experience, and I felt like I knew most things at that time. When I went into that environment, it was a steep learning curve. And there's nothing wrong with that.
That's interesting, though. It's important at times to continue to learn, isn't it?
Holy macaroni, yeah. So, look, it was fantastic. We still haven't got onto the 6 pillars yet, have we, Chris?
You're getting there, though.
Yeah, because there's a reason for it. This is the reason.
Yeah.
So we talk about in life, like I said to the lady downstairs, don't get to my age at life and have no stories. Yeah. And I say that to my young athletes every day. You know what? There's a lot of people at my age, your age, Chris, that have no stories. They've just literally grown up, gone to school, gone to uni, got a job, hit the rat race. Got no stories. What an absolute waste.
Yeah, it's one of the real beauties of life, isn't it, to create stories?
You've got to put yourself out there. Well, I have. It's not for everybody. I'm still here. I've just about survived it. So, look, ultimately what happened was after a year at the Crusaders, I was actually offered a role at the New Zealand Warriors as head of athletic development. Now, at the time, in the profession that I was in, that was probably the pinnacle for me. That was to run a whole organisation from the athletic development process. I'd always been a real hands-on type of coach, on the shop floor with my men, my athletes, training them, taking them into battle on a Saturday and a Sunday afternoon, which is probably my forte. And the lesson looking back in that is always stay in your lane. Yeah. And I actually, there was a few things with this next gig was the fact that I was offered an amazing opportunity. Financially, I was really well paid. Opportunity as far as developing their high performance centre, recruiting my own staff in sports science, in my assistant coaches. So in my profession, I'd reached the peak.
Yeah, absolutely.
In my little world, which coming from the north of England, little town, city in Hull, I've been pretty, been brought up in a really loving environment, pretty tough environment, and pushing through, just striving all the time to be better, being a change agent, changing things all the time, being on the cutting edge of strength and conditioning. I'd arrived. So look, but just when we think that life is going hunky-dory, the universe
throws something at you, doesn't it?
So what it threw at me was 2 weeks after arriving in in Auckland, and I'm going to talk about this next bit with all due respect and care, because this is so I'm not talking about this next bit where I'm bragging in any way. I'm trying to be really mindful of what I say next, because it's a very difficult subject for me to talk about. There was a time there where I couldn't even talk about it.
I appreciate it.
Yeah,
you can.
And there are people that are involved with this incident, and families that are involved with this incident. So there's victims. So look, ultimately, I'm going to be very careful with how I approach this. But basically, 2 weeks after arriving in Auckland, my next door neighbour, who I didn't know, I'd been there 2 weeks. She was obviously suffering with depression. She decided that she was going to fill her house full of gas containers and petrol containers and take her own life. Now, we didn't know this, but without going into too much depth, we were sat in our living room, which was next door, and there was a massive explosion. Obviously, because of the accelerants in the house, this was a pretty traumatic scene. For the people in the street, The street soon filled up full of people. The house was a complete inferno. I ran down the side of the house with my wife and my son, Ricky. My wife knew exactly what I was going to do. And my last, I thought was going to be my last memory, because this is one of the things that have always played on my mind, was my wife screaming to me in front of me that loud that there was nothing coming out. She was that terrified because she knew what I was going to do, and she thought I was going to die. So look, ultimately, I went into those flames, and I went through those flames, and I saved the lady. I got her out. But in saying that, with all due respect and care, and what else can you say? With love and passion, you know, God bless her soul, she still committed suicide months later in hospital. So look, again, it's very sad. So look, and that wasn't because of her burns, even though she was seriously burnt. So this is a serious issue we're talking about here. So again, I'm not bragging about this. It's not something that I wanted to do. It was thrown in front of me, and I did what I did. Because I did what I did, you know, and I'll accept this on behalf of my family, is that I received the New Zealand Bravery Medal from the late Queen Elizabeth II.
Which is amazing.
Which is, but you don't do these things because you're going to get medals. You know, and I received that, you know, and I received that medal from the Governor General of New Zealand in a big ceremony. My family flew over from the UK to be there, and it was a great moment for our family legacy. You know, my dad always talks about family pride, and it was a very amazing occasion. You know, and you need to talk about those occasions because they are pivotal in your life, and they are really important to leave a legacy in this world. In saying all this, there's a huge but, and it's not the one I'm sat on at the moment. But the but was that I went into them flames, one person, and came out a completely different person.
So that instant changed you. Was it the decision to go in that
the whole scenario was really strange. The heat, as you could imagine, the place was full of gas containers and petrol. The heat was extraordinary. Without going into too much detail, because it's pretty horrific. But I came out of this thing, and this started to play on my mind over the few weeks and months after. Could have been post-traumatic stress, who knows? But I didn't have a hair on my body singed. I went in a T-shirt and shorts. I can remember when I was sat on the curb when the fire is turned up, and the chief of the fire brigade, who was the chief of the station, he was in all his protective gear and his oxygen pulled his oxygen mask and said, "You're the guy that went in that building?" So I said, "Yeah." He said, "Are you all right?" So I was saying, "Yeah." And he just couldn't believe it.
So you were physically unscathed.
It was the strangest things, Chris. Now, I'm not a religious man, pretty spiritual, but what played on my mind, there was a couple of things when I look back. So my time at the Warriors, even though I was given this amazing opportunity, and in my profession, it was probably the greatest point in my profession, I wasn't myself. For 2 years, I wasn't Jeno. I wasn't me. Yeah. So in the rugby league community, I'm known as Jeno. Yeah. That's me, Jeno. But he wasn't there. I tried my damnedest. I did some good things. We developed the High Performance Centre, probably one of the best, I suppose, tangible things outside of developing human beings that I've done. I was really proud of that. And even to this day, they're all really proud of their High Performance Centre. But that I designed that. You know, I designed specific racks for that place. It was my concept. So I take a lot of pride in that. But I wasn't me. Yeah. And what played on my mind the whole time, and what I struggled with, again, it could have been post-traumatic stress. I've spoken to people that have been in similar situations since, from the military, etc., or the police force or the ambulance service, with these little micro conversations, they say to me straight away, "Oh, it's post-traumatic stress." Well, it may have been.
Yeah.
But what played on my mind was, well, why did I survive? And there is a thing called survivor syndrome, isn't there?
Yep.
So it may have been that. But look, ultimately, it played on my mind. And even though I was getting really well paid in the job that I'd worked towards for 30 years, I was completely and utterly unfulfilled. Didn't enjoy it. Couldn't do my best work. So eventually, I moved away from the NRL. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do my job. I just couldn't do it. And, so I came back to back home to Sydney.
Yep.
And was a little bit lost for a while there. And then just through the universe, the only thing I could really do was coach and mentor young people.
Yep.
Pretty good at that.
You are.
Arguably one of the best in the world, apparently. But and I'm pretty good at DIY. But look, ultimately, that's what I do. I can take an athlete or a human from A to B. I have that ability. Yeah, I have a master's degree in strength and conditioning, but it's not about that stuff. It's about the other stuff.
Yep.
It's about understanding about the person and coaching the person first before the athlete. So pretty good at that. So look, ultimately, what happened was that I was lost for a while there. Then I bumped into a friend of mine who is a brilliant businessman, Tony LeCastro. So Tony LeCastro runs Ultra Air, which is one of the biggest air conditioning installers in Australia. And I knew Tony because Tony also managed players as a bit of a hobby.
Okay.
And so I got to know Tony when I was at the Panthers. I went to see Tony as a mate. I explained to Tony that I was a bit lost, wasn't too sure what I was supposed to do. I did ask him if he had a job sweeping his warehouse out at one point, because I was just completely lost. And he said, "Are you serious? You can't do that." We spoke about these things, and then ultimately, after a lot of conversations, he gave me part of his warehouse, and he set up the first little gym.
Wow.
Which was amazing. He wasn't too sure at the time whether or not coaching young people was the right thing for me.
Yep.
Because, why are you doing that, Carl, type of thing? Well, you should be in high performance. And it was like, well, I've gone through this experience. This is what I think I need to be doing. Like a lot of my colleagues at the time, Antonio thought I'd gone a little bit bonkers, But maybe I've always been a little bit bonkers.
I was going to say more than normal.
Yeah. So, look, when I look back, because Super 6 is 6 years old now, so when I look back on it, Tony was so pivotal in all this. So that's why I'm mentioning Tony LeCastro. If you're listening, Tony, you're a good man.
He does.
Yeah, you're a good man, Tony. And a brilliant businessman. Now, I know we're talking today about in that space, aren't we, Chris? But maybe Tony's one of the people you should get on here, because he is a fantastic businessman. And his story...
I'd love to chat to him.
His story is amazing. It's amazing, how he's established that business. But apart from that, he's a really good man. And he was helping a mate. I don't think he was too confident that anything was going to happen. And he tried to convince me to probably from his business sense and his intelligence, Carl, work with business people, work with them. Let's set up this part of it. You'd be better off doing this, where I could earn some money. But for me, it wasn't necessarily about that. It was about trying to have something to give back.
Yeah.
So let's put a line through that. Ultimately, why is it called Super 6? And you said to me, Chris, that on these type of podcasts, most people only listen for 15 minutes, so they're never going to know this, are they? So for those people out there, you've missed out. Yeah.
Hopefully there's one or two that's hung on.
For the one or two that are hanging on, this is why we call it Super 6. So look, as you know, I've been really privileged and honoured to work in rugby league. Obviously, before even I was involved with football at Leeds United as an international athlete, and with some of the stuff I was doing early on, I was associated with and worked with some of the best track and field athletes in the world at that time with British Athletics. And obviously in Leeds United, we're talking about the EPL, a pretty good team at the time. And then in rugby league and rugby union, we're talking about a lot of the best rugby league players in the world.
Yep.
And in rugby union, some of the best players that have ever played that sport. So what happened was, when I had time, when I was thinking about this business for young people, and I felt that it wasn't just about strength and conditioning. It was about physical and emotional development. It was about trying to give young people the tools for them to be successful, not just in sport, but in life.
Which is so important now, more than ever.
Yeah, and when I throw the word success into this, people are automatically assuming that we're talking about people winning gold medals, people becoming NRL players, people becoming, playing netball for Australia or the Giants or the Swifts. That isn't success. Success is a young person walking into a nurturing environment, and when they leave that environment, whether it's one session, 1 year, 4 or 5 years, and in some cases I've had athletes with me for 6 years.
Wow.
They're just better. They're just more rounded people. They're more productive people. And their success is measured in so many different ways.
Absolutely.
So many different ways. So look, when I actually started thinking about what am I going to call this program, I looked and studied what made the best the best. Again, I've worked with the best.
Yep.
So I know these people implicitly. Not what we see on TV, but what I used to see every day. The good, the bad, and the ugly.
A real authentic person.
But the people.
Yeah.
And, I class a lot of these people as my closest friends. So when I looked at them, I asked myself, and I speak to my athletes about this, I asked myself the question, what makes the best the best? So let's talk from a sporting perspective. Is it their skill? Well, no, because at the highest level, in whatever sport that they participate in, they have to have a highly honed skill level.
Yep.
Was it their strength? No, at the highest level, everybody's strong. Yep. Was it their speed? At the highest level, everybody's quick.
Everyone's got it at that level, don't they?
Was it their fitness? At the highest level, being fit is a requirement of all sports.
Yep.
So what makes these people who they are? And it's their behaviour or their behaviours. Not things that are written down on paper.
Yep.
Yeah. Not going to a seminar and whooping and hollering. Yeah, let's check. Yeah, like we've all been to them, haven't we? Yep. And then on Monday morning you go back to the grind and it's what. It's actually what they put into action on a minute to minute, hour to hour, day to day basis, consistently. It's their behaviour. Yep. So initially I thought about all these people, and there was hundreds of them, and I wrote down their behaviours, and I had a list of I cut it down to about 20. And then I started putting lines through things I felt like, I could let that go, I could let that go, I could let that go, until I got to a point where I had 6. I had 6 behaviours, and I couldn't put another line through them. And then those 6 behaviours, I put them in what I thought was the order of priority. So Super 6 is called Super 6. Remember, this is from a sporting context. Yep. Not the 6 traits of athletic development, speed, strength, flexibility, all that type of stuff.
Yep.
Super 6 is around the 6 behaviours of the best of the best. Those 6 behaviours, if implemented by young people, will help fast track or front load their destiny as an athlete.
Yep.
100%. 100%. No argument. If there's experts out there, get yourself down to Super 6 and we'll have an argument for an hour and you will walk out a believer. 100%. We used to, I have a saying, I took the saying off a brilliant gear steward back at Bradford. He'd been there for 40 years. The guy was a guru. People who know Fred Robinson. People who know Fred Robinson from Bradford will be saying, a guru, Fred? But he was the most amazing human being. And he used to say to me, look, son, it's either right or it's wrong. There's no middle ground. Yeah? And that's always stuck with me. So Fred's passed away now, so God rest your soul, Fred. But I take that with me every day. We all know the difference between right and wrong.
Yep.
We choose to do the right thing and we choose to do the wrong thing. Both things has a consequence.
Yep.
Both things has a consequence. I choose to do the right thing. For all those political correct people out there, I'm not interested.
Yep.
This is about doing the right thing for young people to help them become the best they can be, to give them the tools that's going to enable them not just to be good athletes, but more importantly, to be great citizens and have the tools to deal with pressure throughout life and give them the resilience to survive and thrive. That's what my program's all about. So, remember an hour ago when you asked me what these 6 pillars were, Chris?
You're slowly getting there.
I'll get there. So look, but there's a reason behind it.
And an important reason.
It's like, this is my life journey to this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had a shallow life. Look, the 6 behaviours of the best of the best. And when I go through this, I can visualize them smiling back at me, these people, because they know it. Yeah. So, number 1, humility.
Yeah.
Humility. The best of the best are very humble people. There's a difference between image and identity.
Yep.
In some sports, image is used to put bums on the seats. And the image might be as a baddie. Yeah, a baddie. Yeah. But you know what? Behind the facade, they're good people. Yeah. I'm telling you.
It's even just a story, isn't it, often?
It's their image.
Yeah.
Not their identity. But when you know these people, the best of the best are unbelievably humble people. Unbelievably humble people. I'm talking about the best here. And at Super 6, we leave their ego at the front door. I don't care what background they come from. When they come through that door, we, in our environment, expect humility.
I love it.
What does that mean to a young person? What it means to a young person is the fact that if they understand that and they realize for them to get people to be attracted to them, to like them, to help them, they need to be a good person. You know, they have to be because they need help. So being polite, doing things for others is such a powerful thing. So humility. Number 2, sacrifice. The best of the best. And if you want to be successful in life, you have to understand the word sacrifice.
Yeah.
Sacrifice is a powerful word. If you are religious, the ultimate sacrifice is a big word. The whole of the Christian religion is built off the back of somebody making that ultimate sacrifice. So it's a big word. What does that mean to a young person? What that means to a young person is they need to understand that word and they need to find something that they find really, really, really difficult, that's positive to them, that's going to help them develop emotional resilience and help them progress in life. Within our beautiful environment in Australia, we've created a really soft environment. Not for everybody, because there's a lot of people out there struggling, and I respect that. But on the whole, we live in it. There's no wars going on, is there?
It's comfortable, isn't it, compared to a lot of parts of the world?
It is. It's a and what a fantastic country to be able to live in.
Yeah.
What an amazing place. But in saying that, our young people lack resilience. On the other side of that is the fact that, you know, through technology, social media, they get instant gratification. So they don't really have to work hard to get gratification. They'll do a selfie, they'll get gratification. Yep. They want some information, they'll Google it. In most cases, they'll ask their parents for a pair of trainers, they'll get it. They go home on a night, there's some food on the table. Yeah, if they want water, they'll turn a tap.
Yep.
There's water comes out of it. This isn't me being extreme, this is the fact. So what that does with young people is, we've created an environment where resilience isn't part of their life. So what happens is that they don't develop the resilience. So they can't, when they get a bit older in the real world, when they leave school and they try to be independent, it's challenging for them. So look, learning about sacrifice and how powerful that is And using that behavior on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis for your sport gives you an awareness and an understanding that it's more than worthwhile. Making sacrifice. And if you read any autobiography about any successful person, I'm not talking about 100% of them, but I'll say 99.9% of successful people that write autobiographies, probably the first chapter or the second chapter is written about the adversity they went through when they were younger.
And what they've overcome
and
to get there.
You know what? And at the time, they'll probably be thinking, this is really traumatic, this is really hard. But when they become successful, they'll probably sit down over a latte and look back and think, that's what gave me the tools to be successful. So, look, sacrifice, number 2. And the best of the best, even when they become unbelievably successful in sport, continue to make sacrifices on a day-to-day basis. Because in some cases, you have to make more sacrifices when you've got a Ferrari in the garage and you've got to go and out-train everybody at the gym. And then before it was there.
Yeah, the pressure's higher then, isn't it?
Well, it is, but they don't really have to do it, do they? They've got a bank full of money, they've got fame, they've got glory, they've got everything, but they're still willing to make those sacrifices. They're amazing people because they have to be successful.
Absolutely.
So look, sacrifice is number 2. Number 3 is loyalty. Now, the best of the best, for the people out there listening at the moment, you'll be probably thinking, this guy's talking about athletes here. No, all these behaviors are set for everybody. Number 3 is loyalty. Now, when we talk about loyalty, number 1, you have to be loyal to yourself. So all these business leaders out there listening to this, well, the 1 or 2 that's still listening.
Sure, there's a couple still on.
Yeah, it's about loyalty. First of all, loyalty to yourself. What does that mean? Earlier on, I was talking about environment. So loyalty to yourself is about your internal environment. The food and the drink that you stuff in your face, that has a profound effect on your body, and the thoughts that you think. Now, there's a library, or libraries around the world, or on your iPhone, that's got thousands of books written on that stuff, but it's very, very, very uncomplicated. There's no such thing as junk food. There's either food or there's junk.
Good way of putting it.
Food is something that's grown on a tree, grown on the ground, walked, flown, or swam. So our bodies over the millennia have been evolved around food.
Yep.
In the modern era, because of population growth, the food production industry trying to feed everybody on the planet, processes food. But for an athlete, you can't be eating processed food.
Yep.
It's not good for you. For anybody that wants to be healthy and successful, and you can't, when you look on the back of a packet of food or junk, what I call it, in a box or on a shelf, and if there's words written on the back that you don't quite understand, because on the front it says apple mix, and you look on the back and you can't see the word apple, there's just 1,000 lines of E-numbers. It's not an apple. It's not.
Stick away from.
It's not an apple. Yeah?
Yeah.
So look, even on, even in the meat sections of them, in some of these more shops, you'll see something and it says chicken. You look on the back. Where did it say chicken? There's no chicken in there. But so there's something in there. So look, ultimately, it's simple. Loyalty to yourself is ensuring that the food you eat is food.
Yep.
So when you swallow that food, not because we're all addicted to salt and sugar, because in the processed world they're pumping it full of salt and sugar, so we're addicted to it. So once you swallow that food, your body can recognize it and use it and build new tissue and get rid of antioxidants and make you give the energy and all the things that it needs to do. And the other thing, obviously, is the thoughts that you think. And it's pretty simple to me, really. I run a curriculum, my mental skills curriculum with elite athletes, as well as school children now, which is,
Yep.
I'm really proud of. But it comes, being loyal to yourself is ultimately positive thinking. And the easiest way to actually talk about positive thinking, because again, there's libraries full of this stuff.
Yep.
Within my mental skills program, I go into depth, I understand that, but it's as simple as this when we talk about loyalty. When you talk to yourself in your mind, talk to yourself like you're talking to your best friend, not your worst enemy.
Great way of putting it. It's very simple, but...
Because we do, Chris.
We do, don't we? Yep.
We do. We don't necessarily talk to ourselves positively.
Yep.
Now, as an athlete, you know, they listen to the noise around them, things don't go too well, and automatically in the mind they're telling themselves, I'm not good enough, I'm not fast enough, I'm never going to make it, you're rubbish,
Yep.
you're useless. Well, you wouldn't walk up to your best friend and say, you're not good enough, you're useless, you're ugly, you're fat, you're never going to be anything.
Yeah.
You'd have no friends, would you? So be loyal to yourself. You have to make a choice to decide to tell yourself really positive things. Surely it's not as simple as that. Well, hell yeah, it is. So I tell my athletes every morning when they brush their teeth, because hopefully they're brushing their teeth, they tell themselves, they look at themselves in the mirror, and they've got to say to themselves, I am amazing. Have a look at me. I am absolutely amazing. Yeah, that's the first thing they say to each other, themselves, in the morning. And then throughout the day, there's nothing wrong with being self-critical if you're an athlete, because you're judging yourself as an athlete or as a business leader.
Yep.
But there's ways and means of talking to yourself.
Yep.
I need to be better. How can I be better tomorrow? Are there things that I need to change? To not, I'm rubbish. I'm never going to be successful. What's going on? Blaming everybody else. Because high performers don't talk about excuses, and they definitely don't avoid some stuff.
Yeah.
They don't avoid it, and they don't use excuses. They look for solutions.
Yep.
Yeah. So, and the solutions need to be looked at in a positive light. Let's go back to 3, loyalty.
Yep.
Being loyal to yourself, the things that you stuff in your face and the thoughts that you think.
Yep.
Loyalty number 2, ensuring that the environment that you're in, you create a positive environment. Oh, yeah, but Carl, I just work in the office. That's not my responsibility. Yeah. Hell yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, I'm a business leader. I'm under way too much pressure. That's somebody else's job. No, that's your job. Yeah. Because our universe expands from our energy. And we're all different. So we all live in our own universe.
Yeah.
If we choose to be positive, think positively, eat healthily, be healthy, we will affect everybody around us in that way. We are the masters of our environment. And you know that's what I'm like.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm like that, Chris.
Yeah,
that's what I do. That's what I do. You know, so it's everybody's responsibility. If you want to be successful, you have to stop right now, have a sit down, start to think positively, go and eat something healthy, and decide if you want to be successful, your first point of call isn't your sales sheet, isn't your bank balance. It's going into work today or tomorrow and just looking at that environment. Yeah, it's the environment that creates high performance.
It's so well put. It's true.
It's the truth.
Yeah.
I only ever speak the truth, Chris. It's either right or it's wrong. I don't care about politically correct bullshit. Yeah, I just believe in the truth. Yeah, whether people like it or not. We're just lumps of biology. We're lumps of energy, and we can affect people in a positive way. Because you know what? If I choose to affect people in a negative way, I can destroy people. If I choose to do that, I can go to work this afternoon with some of my young athletes and start getting into their heads that, you don't need to eat healthy food. Eat bad food.
Yeah.
You're not good enough. You're never going to make it. Yeah. Why are you here? Shouting at them, screaming at them, destroying them.
Yeah.
You can destroy somebody with one line.
Absolutely.
And you can dead set make somebody with one line of the words that come out of your mouth. So you choose, if you're out there, you choose to be positive. You choose to create your environment. Whoever you are, if you're sweeping the floor, you are just as important as the chief executive. That's the Formula One mentality.
Yeah. That's such a great message for everyone, regardless of your role or responsibilities.
Absolutely. You know, Gandhi didn't have a pair of shoes on his feet. Yeah. And he changed India. He changed the world in a lot of respects. The guy had nothing, and because he had nothing apart from his spirit and his humanity, which is such a powerful thing, he changed billions of lives.
Yep.
So look, it's being loyal to yourself, being loyal to your environment, and ultimately being loyal to your team. So as an athlete or a business leader, being really loyal to your team. Wielding the stick every day ain't going to get it done.
Yep.
Being loyal to your people is such a powerful thing. In team sport, loyalty is something that develops trust. Trust is something that's so powerful. You cannot expect somebody around you to follow you or work for you, or in sport, put their body on the line for you unless they trust you.
Yep, absolutely.
Trust is massive. So loyal, number 3. I'm only up to 3, Chris. Holy hell. For that one person that's still listening. Yeah. So loyalty. Loyal to yourself.
Yeah.
Loyal to your environment. Loyal to your team. Number 3. Number 3 after humility and sacrifice. Number 4. Initially, I wrote this down as mental toughness because I come from an environment working with arguably the toughest sports people on the planet.
Yep.
Come on, so let's be tough. Get out there. Put your body on the line. Yeah, smash him, break him in half. Yeah, roll it. Yeah, either knock him down or you're going to get all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Mental toughness. Yeah, that was the language we used. So initially, I wrote it down as mental toughness. But what I've realized is, over the years, we've changed that to resilience. Because we have athletes from all various different sports. And I think a better word for these young people is resilience. Physical and emotional resilience.
Makes a lot of sense.
It does. There used to be a saying in boxing, which was the best fighters come out the Bronx. Because from a historic combat sport, historically, it was the truth in some respects. Be a few Mexicans that disagree with that back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, but ultimately, predominantly, that was a saying because the environment in the Bronx created really tough people that had to survive, and it was their way out of the ghetto to get in that ring and put the bodies on the line. Yeah, you know, so that's the saying. Now, look, if we don't live in the ghetto in a soft environment, we have to train in the ghetto. Now, training in the ghetto for young people isn't about being in an unsafe environment because my cornerstone at Super 6 is creating a safe space for young people, physically and emotionally. That doesn't mean to say that we don't place pressure on them so they can develop systems and processes and independent thinking to solve the problem. You know, but you cannot achieve anything without pressure. You cannot achieve anything in life without having resilience. You cannot. So if you live in an environment which is fluffy and beautiful, well, kids ain't going to get the resilience to live, thrive, and in some cases survive. You know, and we don't want to be talking about, well, there's plenty of platforms where we're talking about that stuff, Chris, because it's a serious issue with young people.
It is now.
God love them.
More than ever.
God love them. You know, and we can wrap that up in cotton wool and try and support these kids because we have to, or we can try and give them the tools to deal with having more resilience. Look, so number 4 is resilience, mental toughness. You cannot become the best of the best in business, sport, or life unless you are resilient. In the special forces, in this, you know,
it's life or death there, isn't it?
Well, it is, but the actual selection process for the special forces, because I've worked through teams with these amazing people, is the fact that the people that are at the end of that process, so at the start of that process, you've got unbelievably gifted, amazing athlete, military from all various different walks of the military that want to either get into I'm talking about the UK here, the SAS or the SBS, Special Air Service or the Special Boat Service. And there's hundreds turn up on day one. There's only a couple left at the end. Now, is it the fastest, fittest, strongest person that gets to the end? It's the most resilient.
It's always resilience.
It's the most resilient. And often they call them the grey people, don't they? The grey man. Yeah. Because they just got to fit into, they fit. People don't, they're underestimated type of, but they're not.
Yeah.
They are unbelievably resilient people. They learn how to adapt and overcome. And that's something that high achievers need to do. So the only way that you can develop the ability to adapt and overcome, whether that's in the instance, in the big moments of the big games, or in the boardroom when decisions have to be made in a millisecond, you have to have that resilience and the courage of your convictions to do that. Resilience is number 4.
I love that one.
Now, look, number 5. Number 5. What is number 5? I'm only kidding. Everyone's like staring at the screen, aren't they? Well, tell me what number 5 is, Jeno. Tell me what number 5 is.
I was hoping you weren't going to ask me, because I'm not sure.
No. Number 5 is follow your dreams. So, look, ultimately with young people, I had this conversation. The universe threw me into a situation a few weeks ago, and it was talking about being a dreamer. It was talking about visualizing the future. Because I talk to some strange people, Chris. So look, and it's such a powerful thing. And I think sometimes in modern society, and I know your background's education, I know it is. So respectfully, I truly believe the way things are is the fact that in a lot of cases, education is just facilitated. I think the ability for teachers to go into a room and teach is almost taken away from them, because there's so much red tape. You can't say the wrong thing. You can't say that to a kid. You can't do this. You've got to write a report. You've got to do this. You've got to do that. You've got to... So I think in a lot of respects, education, and kids go to school to learn, to educate from people that are wise.
Yeah.
So I'm not an expert in this field, but I think in a lot of respects, facilitating education often, I don't want to upset a lot of academics out there, because there are places that allow young people to dream.
Yeah.
And I used to get into trouble when I was a kid because I was staring out the window.
Yeah.
But how many successful people on this planet, let's talk about the most richest people on the planet, don't fit the mold. No, they're on the spectrum somewhere, aren't they? They're on the spectrum, aren't they? They're dreamers, aren't they? They dream.
Yeah, all dreamers.
They're dreamers.
Yeah.
So look, following your dream for a young person, if they're in an environment where they think they're not good enough, they're comparing themselves with all that rubbish on social media, which isn't the truth.
Yep.
A lot of the time it's taken away from them. So giving them an environment where a young person comes in and they don't even say, I want to play for Manchester United, because they're in an environment where people are saying, you're too small. Yeah, you're not good enough. That's Manchester United. You're never going to get there. You live in Australia. Don't be daft. Yeah, don't be stupid. You're never going to do that. Look, for a young person, when they walk through my door, we tap into that. We ask them straight away whether or not it's directly or making them think and have faith in their dreams. You will never achieve your goal in life unless you're thinking positively about your dream or whatever those dreams are. Because anybody is capable of almost anything in this world. If you have a dream and you talk to yourself as your best friend, because Arnold says it, doesn't he? Arnold Schwarzenegger, don't listen to the naysayers. Worst Arnold Schwarzenegger impression in the history of Arnold Schwarzenegger.
It was one of the worst, I heard.
Get to the chopper. No, I'll be back. I don't know. Don't listen to the naysayers.
Yeah.
What an amazing man he is when you look at his story. Holy macaroni. He defied the odds as an athlete. He defied the odds as an actor. And he defied the odds
politician
as a
well.
Unbelievable.
Anything he's put his mind to, he's done.
Yeah,
he's achieved.
He's a dreamer.
Yeah.
He's a dreamer, and he's willing to work hard. Yeah. We'll get to that in a minute. So look, dream it. You have to follow your dreams. And on my board in my gym, because you've seen it, Chris, it says, don't let anybody tell you you can't do it. Yes, you can. Yeah, you can. Yeah. So we ensure that all our young people don't let go of their dreams. Are every kid that walks through my door going to be the greatest athlete on the planet? No. But that's following your dreams has nothing to do with that. Following your dreams is allowing young people to feel good about themselves, to feel that they're in charge. When I speak to my athletes, I say to them, who's going to get you to the top? Point to them. Who's going to get... Oh, you are, coach. No, not me. Who's going to get you to the top? My dad. No, not your dad. No, who's going to get you to the top? My school. No, who's going to get you to the top? Me? Yeah, you. Who's going to get you to the top? Me, coach. Correct. Who's going to stop you getting to the top? Nobody. No, incorrect. Who's going to stop you getting to the top? Me. Yeah, correct. Once young people realize that they're the masters of their own ship, and if they surround themselves with good people by being a good person themselves in a really, really positive environment, no matter what they do, it's going to be a positive thing towards them achieving their goals, whatever that may end up being. Their potential is limitless in their own little universe, whatever that's going to be. And I've always prided myself by being an absolutely amazing overachiever. And when I say that to people, they go, oh, how derogatory can you be to yourself? I'm telling you, who I am, where I come from, what I've done, I've overachieved in everything that I've done. But I'm proud of that. And I'll continue to do it, and I'll continue to do it and break doors down for the good in the world, in my own little way.
And you are a dreamer, aren't you?
Cheers, Chris. So I am. I am a dreamer. Oh, last night I had a really weird dream. I'll talk about that one. So look, ultimately, following your dreams is really important. And last but not least, remember you asked that question about an hour ago? Last but not least is hard work. Now, the reason why I put hard work on the list, because we all understand that principle. Yeah, you got to work hard. Work harder. We got to work hard. Well, working hard actually only just scrapes on. And I literally put it on for the fact that people understand you got to work hard. But it does need to be on. Any fool on this planet can work hard. I could drag, from an athletic perspective, I could drag anybody off the street and work them hard. Yeah? But do they have a dream? Do they have the resilience to work hard again tomorrow? Are they being loyal to themselves by sleeping well, by surrounding themselves with positive people, eating the right foods? Are they willing to make a sacrifice to improve? And are they nice? Are they good people? Are they humble? Do I actually want them to come back tomorrow? And it's the same in any environment. You know, anybody can work hard, but you can wield the stick as much as you want. You'll only get so much before the person bites back or loses interest, productivity goes in preparation or on the shop floor. So, but we understand if you're willing to work hard and you do have a dream, if you're willing to work hard and you are loyal to yourself by eating the right foods, thinking positively, building a good environment around you, if you're willing to work hard to develop resilience, if you're willing to work hard and sacrifice to work harder, if you're willing to work hard and you're a good person, where people are going to help you work even harder, shit happens.
That's where the magic happens, doesn't it?
That's where the magic happens, Chris. You know, so is being successful all about the stuff we're talking about today? Well, of course it's not. But this is about we're human beings, and it's about being positive with each other. And it's being loving, isn't it? It's bringing some love to the world. It's about helping people. It's about giving back. It's about helping young people become the best they can be. That's my motivator. I certainly didn't set this business up to be wealthy, Chris. Believe me. Now, I'm leaving a legacy, which is really powerful. I understand that. And I think that the most amazing legacy you can give as a human being is to young people, because your legacy then lives within them.
Absolutely.
I used to have a strange old thought process after the fire. which was, it came as thoughts and it came in dreams, around the fact that I felt like if I could change one young person's life in a really positive way, they would probably go through their life as a better person, maybe, and affect people in a positive way throughout their life. And they might affect 10 people in a really positive way. Now, again, if you could change 10 people, that might be hundreds of people. If you could change hundreds of people's perception, that might be thousands of people. If you can change thousands of young people's way, it might just change the world. Yeah?
Love it.
So when I say things with my strange sense of humour, Carl, why do you do what you do? Because I want to change the world in my own way. Now, look, ultimately, since starting Super 6, people thinking I was a little bit bonkers. Well, after this podcast, a lot of people thinking I was a little bit bonkers. But look, you know, and we had a struggle to really get young people through the door at the start because nobody really knew what the hell it was all about. We're now based at Blacktown International Sports Park. And one of the reasons for that is the fact that I work closely with a couple of key political figures who sent their sons to me. And they realized pretty quickly how amazing the program was because of the effect it had on their family. From a sporting perspective, more importantly, on the person. Absolutely. So they became real believers in what I was trying to do in the community. And Blacktown City Council have been absolutely fantastic for Super 6. So I have a base now at Blacktown International Sports Park. I've moved away from, you know, Tony LaCastro's corner of his
warehouse.
God love you, Tony. And now I'm at Blacktown International Sports Park, and we've developed that area, and we'll be based there for a long period of time. There's a lot of amazing things going on in Blacktown International Sports Park. But even from those first days of just trying to get a few people through the door, thinking I was going a little bit bonkers because I was doing the wrong thing, even with 2 years of COVID, we've had over 40,000 visits, which is mind-boggling.
Wow.
Mind-boggling, Chris.
It is.
Now, that's 40,000 opportunities to suck my energy out of me. Yeah, there I am. I'm nearly worn out, but not quite. But that's young people recovering from serious illnesses. That's young people in emergency care. That's world champions. That's every colour, every creed, every religious background, every socioeconomic background. All young people coming together in a nurturing environment. One of the things that I do, and you know this as a parent, Chris, is that once I've got the money out the parents, once we've spoken about the program, they leave their children behind. Again, my cornerstone is creating a safe place for young people physically and emotionally. The parents leave the young people in that gym because part of the process isn't just about getting fitter, faster, stronger, more resilient. It's actually for the young people to develop independent thinking, solving problems on their own, not relying on other people to solve that problem for them. It's a real important part of high performance, and that's what I learned at the Crusaders. All Blacks are All Blacks because they can solve problems. They're independent thinking. They can solve problems themselves. That's their superpower. They can come across teams.
Great message.
They can come across teams that are bigger, stronger, faster, more skillful. They will outthink them because they are in control of their thoughts. They do not have to rely on external sources of wisdom. They are developed to solve problems independently. They are independent thinkers. Now, that's an easy statement to make. The process behind developing that is extreme and amazing. So to create an environment where I'm challenging myself to deliver that program, even in a really subtle way, it's a really powerful trait for a young person to have. So getting the parents away.
Yep.
For that individual to create the ability to solve problems themselves is part of Super 6. It's part of it. So, we've had a lot of visits and we've done a lot of amazing things. And today, here I am. I'm here now, sat opposite you, Chris. You asked me the question, don't we? Yeah. For God's sake, don't ask me another question.
No, in fact, I'm going to have to ask you a favour. Can you come back and in a few months and do a part 2 with me? Because I feel like we're just scratching the surface of the stories and the messages.
Well, I haven't told
today.
you a story yet, have I? And I've got a million, haven't I?
So maybe in a few months, I'd love you to come back and share some more. But we're almost out of time today. But I'm fascinated by everything you said today, and I wanted to say to everybody one thing in particular. I've seen you in action. And what you're saying is coming from an authentic place. So you live and breathe everything you've said today. And that impact you're making is out there and it's very real. So, I say congratulations to you for that.
Thanks, Chris.
No, it's rare to see somebody who wants to make a difference like that, and you are making that difference.
Yeah, and you know what, Chris? It's not easy, you know that, don't you? You understand it's not an easy thing. So, I've got those 6 principles on the board. I make that sacrifice every day.
Yeah, I can see the sacrifice you make.
You know what? My family do as well. Thank God I've got, a wife that supports me, good people around me, because, going from earning huge amounts of money to nothing overnight almost is a difficult scenario. So like most successful people, depends what you call success, because success creates challenges in relationships where often relationships don't survive.
Yep.
All I can say is about the really successful people that I built my 6 principles on, and I'm thinking about them now with my eyes closed, is that
they are closed.
Now they're open. Now they're open.
They're back open.
When I think about those people, they're all really loyal to their partners as well and their families. They are.
Yeah.
And that's what I call. Not everybody, we're human beings. We change, don't we? We make mistakes in our lives, and things happen in life too. But ultimately, loyal people have to be loyal to their environments and the people around them.
Yeah.
Am I perfect? No, I'm far from being perfect. I understand that. And this isn't about perfection, because perfection, if you're striving for perfection, it's never going to happen.
It can't happen, can it?
No. But it doesn't mean to say that you can't strive for being the best you can be. I'm not the best version of me. I'm far from it. But I'm just trying to make a change in the world in my own little way.
Absolutely. You just mentioned a few times today, Carl, family and loyalty, and you mentioned your son Ricky, who works with you. And for those who've got family businesses or work with family, can you tell me what it's like to work with your son as well? He's amazing, by the way.
Well, he is, yeah.
Ricky's great.
He is. He's a great human being. So Ricky's a twin. So Ricky's twin sister, Leonie, is a unbelievably successful young lady, very academic, very driven, and doing fantastic in her profession. And I'm very proud of Leonie. Ricky has always worked with me. When I was working in high performance sport, he left school early. He didn't find school easy. So he was within that high performance environment, helping the gear steward out, being an amazing lump of energy in the sport, which he is.
He's an amazing lump of energy. To describe him that way, but he is.
He's just the most lovable human being. Doesn't see the bad in the world, which has caused him problems in the past, because having such great energy can attract people that aren't necessarily that nice. And so look, life's not perfect for Ricky. He has a lot of challenges in life. But when I left high performance sport, he lost all his family too, because his family was this sporting family.
Yeah.
So so ultimately, he's ended up at Super 6 with me, and he's fantastic for the program, Ricky. And this isn't something new. You look back on in business, it was Barton and Son, Jennings and Son.
Yeah, it's always been that way, hasn't it?
Yeah. So I look at my business as a family business, corner shop business, family business. So, and having people around you that you can trust.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a big word again. That comes from loyalty, doesn't it? So having a business where you have people within that business that are really loyal, it creates trust. Trust creates competency. Competency creates productivity. Going back to Tony LaCastro, obviously LaCastro is from his Italian descent, the Italian community. So through his business, he has a lot of his family involved in that business.
Yeah.
His expectation is that brings loyalty.
Yep.
Loyalty brings trust. Trust brings competency. Competency brings productivity. So having people in your business, whether or not it's family, and there's an old saying, never mix business with pleasure and family. Well, I think to be happy in what you do, you need to surround yourself with people that you can trust, that are loyal, and they've got your back in those challenging times. That can't always be the case. And if you're a business leader out there and you think to yourself, there's no way I'd have my family go through what I have to go through every day, well, that's fine.
Yep.
But you have to recruit people that you almost look at as family.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And that you respect like family, and that you're willing to talk to like family, and have an expectation from them that they're going to treat you just exactly the same. You look at some really, really successful business in the modern era, businesses like Google, which turned the concept of business on its head. Yeah, it revolved around the Google family, doing things differently, thinking outside the box.
Yeah,
Lego's the same. You go to a Lego place that, in the cafeteria, it's all healthy options. Yeah. It's about that internal environment. It's about eating the good foods. It's about thinking outside the box. It's about being creative. It's about having dreams.
Absolutely.
And we're talking about little plastic blocks here. Yeah. But the outcome of that in amazing environments is magic happens. It's just a plastic tile. It's a little brick, coloured brick. But the outcome of that is so amazing.
Absolutely.
But the heart of that business is a nurturing environment. And I've just pulled this out of my head, but with loyalty there, isn't there? There's humility, there's good people, sacrifices being made, isn't there? There's loyalty, there's resilience in that community, in that the toy world. They've got dreams, and they work hard. Them 6 principles of behaviour, no matter who you throw at me, they're fit. Yeah. They're fit. So it's pretty empowering really to know that when we talk about these things.
And I think that's a good thing to finish on. I think that's a strong message. And I'd sort of seen those 6 principles up on your wall, and I'd seen them in action, but to hear you talk about them really brings them to life today for me. And I reckon there's some great messages, and I'm sure there's more than a few that have held on.
Yeah.
And even if one person takes it away, you've created that ripple effect even further.
Well, I hope so. And I'll finish, if I can.
Absolutely.
Because it's coming to my mind now. So I do some keynote talking and speeches, and I've built a mental skills resilience program, which I'm very proud of, which is now being implemented into schools. I also work in the high performance space, but ultimately, the thing that I realized, the reason why I gave up my lucrative, successful career to come down and give back to young people was a realization, and that when I said to you, when I went into that fire one person and came out a different person, there was 3 things. The three key things that made me look at my life in a completely different way was time.
Yep.
My time should have ran out in 2012. 99.999% should have run out in that moment. Because I ran into the flames, literally. So when you survive those things and you think about that, you think, well, my time could have run out.
Yeah.
And then you realize to yourself that time, for a human being, we only have so much. We literally only have so much time.
We do, don't we?
We are not going to live forever. We have so much time.
Yep.
That's it. As an athlete, As an athlete, you have a very little short time
small
slot.
window, isn't it?
Small window to develop your athletic ability, your technical and tactical ability, and achieve something. You're talking 10, 15 years, and I'm squeezing it. Yeah. That's it. So for an athlete, your time is very limited. And if you're talking to a 15-year-old, during that maturation process, that's when the work should be done. Skill acquisition, physical development, emotional resilience. You've probably got a couple of years to get that sorted.
Yep.
After that point, the window of opportunity reduces dramatically.
Yeah.
So time is our most precious commodity.
So true.
That's the first thing. That's it. Yeah. We can't stop time. We can't change time. It's our most precious commodity. So what the hell are you going to do with your time today, Chris, and everybody else that's listening out there?
Absolutely.
We only have so much time.
Yep.
Then it's the why. And I know a lot of people talk about this, but it's such a powerful thing. What is your why? Why the hell are you doing this stuff? Is it worthwhile? Are you too afraid if you think that, you know what, Carl, it's not really my why, but I have to do it?
Yep.
Make the sacrifice. Be loyal to yourself.
Yep.
Yeah. Have some resilience about you, brother.
Yep.
Yeah. Or sister.
Yep.
Yeah. Follow your dreams. Bloody work hard at it. Change stuff. Yeah.
Yep.
What is your why? Because you need a why. You have to have a why. Why do athletes need a why? Well, in those dark moments, in the most challenging circumstances, on the playing field or on the court or in the ring,
Yep.
you cannot second guess yourself. Usually somebody's why, it's actually representing something that's bigger than themselves.
Yep.
And I often talk to athletes about this, in particular elite athletes that have lost a bit of form. And it's them actually understanding the reason why they want to be successful is really powerful, and it fast tracks them really quickly. You often see it in rugby league or rugby union. They've got some strapping on their arms, and they've got a cross. Their religion is bigger than themselves.
Yep.
They're representing their religion. They're representing their family. They're representing something that's bigger than themselves. It's a very powerful driver. And as an individual, if you can sit back and think about, what is my why? Why the hell am I here? Why am I doing this?
Yep.
Does it make sense to me? What is it? What is going to drive me forward to create extraordinary things? You need a why. And if you want to be successful in life, you need a why. It could be as simple as, I do what I do because I love it. It makes me happy.
Yep.
Hell yeah. That's a good why.
Yep.
And thirdly, your purpose. Your purpose is different to your why. Now, you could have a purpose in a working environment. You might say to yourself, my purpose in this environment is to be a great leader.
Yep.
My purpose in this environment is to be a great colleague. My purpose is in this, I truly believe my purpose in this environment is to bring positive energy every day. Yep. You know what? I'm not the best at making the furniture. I'm not the best at working on social media.
Yep.
But I make sure with my energy, everybody around me is just creating a positive vibe and improving productivity. That could be your purpose in life. And within a team environment, you need to know your purpose. Absolutely. Because that becomes your absolute superpower. Your purpose, no matter what it is, if you really understand what it is, it becomes a true superpower. So the three things that we need to be really aware of. Does this really matter? Well, I think it does. Because I think for us to be happy and feel fulfilled, because we only have so much time, we need to have a concept of time. We have to have a concept of why the hell we're doing it, and we need to have a concept of our purpose in life. So when I went into that fire, I had no idea of time. Just like everybody else. Life's just life. My why at the time when I went into those flames was, well, I do what I do because I've always done sport, and that's who I am. That's my identity. It was as a sporting identity. I was an athlete and as a coach.
Yeah.
My purpose in life was to turn up every day and bring Jeno, the energy. Yeah. Get my men big, powerful, and strong, and take them onto the sporting battlefield. When I came out of the Flames and I had time to think, I realized my why had nothing to do with that. I wasn't too sure what my why was, and I wasn't too sure what my purpose was. Yeah. It created another avenue for me. So the universe sent me down this other path. And maybe I understand about time. So every day is precious to me. I try to make the most out of every day. Yeah. And that's important. Am I perfect? Of course, I'm far from being perfect. Am I always up and happy every day? Hell no. Yeah. That's the universe. The universe expands and contracts. So my universe contracts. Believe me, I get really down. Yeah. I lose my energy, for days on end. But I have a knowing that I will bounce back. Yeah. Because that's how the universe works.
It always does. Yeah.
Yeah. The problem is when people can't bounce back, which is a real problem. God love them. So my why, my purpose changed. Is it the reason why I'm sat opposite you today? I don't know. It might not be that reason. Yeah. That might not have been the reason that I survived. Yeah, in my own strange world. Yeah. The reason that I survived, and the reason I'm talking to you today, Chris, is because there could be somebody on the end of this microphone. Yeah. Yeah. It might be for that reason, whoever that person is listening right now. I don't know. And maybe during the rest of my time, however that long there might be, because I don't have any control over that, apart from trying to stay healthy, trying to stay positive. Because fate's fate, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And we only have so much time. Things may change for me. I ain't too sure. I'm not in control of that to some degree. So that's the most important thing I wanted to finish with. Yeah. The things that changed me and still drive to me this day is understanding that time's precious. Don't take it for granted. Yeah. Understand having a why is a really powerful thing, and you should always represent something that's greater than yourself. If you think that you're bigger than everything around you, well, you're not very humble, and you're a fool, basically. Yeah. And then having a purpose in life. If your purpose is to make money at the expense of everybody around you, God love you, because you're going to have no friends, and you're not going to be happy. Because having lots of wealth doesn't make you happy. Yeah, you can't buy happiness. No. You cannot buy time. You cannot buy loyalty. You cannot buy trust. You cannot buy those things. You have to earn those things. You have to develop those things through those 6 principles, I believe. So that's how I'll finish, Chris.
No, and I love that as a way to finish: time, why, and purpose. And thank you for joining me today, Carl. And I will get you back in here again. If I have to drag you in.
No, that's fine.
No, thank you. No, I really enjoyed it today.
Yeah, and I enjoyed listening to my own voice. No, I don't. As you know, Chris, even though I talk, I actually don't enjoy that. So I probably won't listen to this podcast. Like most people, when they listen to themselves, it's like a real cringeworthy. But I just hope that I've got a couple of key points across there.
No, you have, absolutely. I hope so. And there'll be someone who takes something away, and that's the important thing.
I hope so.
No, thanks, Carl. Thank you for listening to this episode. If you enjoyed the podcast, come visit me at chrisbarton.com.au and check out some of our other podcasts and some of the other cool stuff I'm up to.